Namaste, beloveds. This is Valerie AMES, aka Motherwit, and I'm just here to share some more things that have been coming across. This is a very special time with the situation with the moon and the energies that are coming forth. And yesterday I got some information that a lot of doorways, ancient doorways and portals are being accessed once again. And a lot of that kind of came up um, this morning, I guess you call it meditation. And I just want to share what came forth with you now. Before I do that, this is a piece of prose that I wrote, I guess. Not I guess, but I wrote. It's called Who Am I? Well, I am not your opinion of a woman. I am not your latest version or vision of a female. I am not what you think you see in lines, curves, circles, triangles, or squares. I cannot be regulated to parts, ample, sparse, or fair. When you look at me, you look at another expression of yourself. So take care. I am a child of the universe, unlimited in the expression of my divine vastness, ever changing, ever expanding in my nature and my nurture. Don't assume you own me, 'cause I would rather be wild, naked, and bare. I am all that is, was, and will never be other than me. That is who I am. And that is that piece, beloved. And I'm going to move forward into what came forth in the meditation this morning. And again, it was very, very deep. I am 54 years old. I am a child of the 60s. I was born in 1965. And so I grew up right after the civil rights movement. I grew up during the age of the hippies, peace, love. So all of that is my foundation. I am also what most know as being an indigo child. And this is very relevant in this moment. That is what Spirit wanted me to really highlight and for everyone to understand. The age of the indigo child. We are still here. We are the ones born to bring about the change that is needed. We have reached a climax point, a very crucial point, and there are multidimensional doors opening at this moment. There are multidimensional energies available to us, both light and dark, depending on which you prefer. All are tools. But let me get forward with it. This is called the Aquarian Age, Age of Aquarius. I didn't write the lyrics down, and I meant to before I started this, but I got into dolling myself up, so to speak. So I didn't get to that. But I ask you to Google, and maybe that's the way it was meant to be, for you to do that on your own, if it means something to you. To Google the lyrics to the song The Age of Aquarius by the Fifth Dimension. And beloveds, please take note. Nothing is coincidence. The name of that group, that band, those singers, the fifth dimension. Look and see when that was written, what year. Understand what the history is at that time, what was going on. Vietnam, we had just come out of 2 world wars, depression. Please open your eyes so that you can see what is repeating and what we need to do to turn the tide of things. Because it is a will, it is free will, it is free choice. You can succumb to what is being fed to you, or you can say no. Okay, let me read what I wrote. The age of the Aquarius, the degrees multiplied by 33 degrees in the constellation of the Milky Way. And beloveds, that was very deep, because as I was receiving this, there's an understanding that the constellations themselves is a ley line or grid with longitude and latitude degrees. Those stars are placed in a certain pattern, ley pattern, for a reason. And those degrees of Aquarius, the constellation Aquarius, should be multiplied by 33 degrees. 33 degrees is 33 is a very powerful number. You can look that number up. Me being Christian, it was the age of Christ and blah, 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 blah. But it's very significant all across cultures. It is very significant in the science of numerology. So, what is coming forth for me is very powerful on many different levels. So please pay attention and don't just take it one way, because it has multiple layers to it and multiple dimensions to it, and it's coming from past, present, and future. So here it is. Those that are able to hear it will hear it, and those that aren't, maybe one day. Here we go. I'll repeat it. The age of Aquarius, the degrees, multiplied by 33 degrees. And then in my mathematical mind, I was like, okay, multiplied, divided, added, and subtracted. But what resonated the most was the multiplication of. And when you multiply, that is the symbol X, which is substantial in its own right. Okay, multiplied by 33 degrees in the constellations of the Milky Way. And beloveds, the Milky Way is very significant in the divine feminine essence. Okay, that is the white waters, that is the white blood, that is the nurturance. So understand what is being given to you at this time. And again, all of this will be explained better and deeper in the song Aquarius by the Fifth Dimension. Also, what came up in this meditation was the song by Parliament and the Funkadelics, Aqua Boogie. Never learned how to swim, I am Sir Nose. And what I was told about that song and what I saw was the Mafa, those who didn't make it coming across, those who were thrown overboard during the slavery trade, those who jumped, those who died during transportation, never learned how to swim, Aqua Boogie. can't catch the meaning of the stroke. It also showed me the connection of that to Atlantis. I know like I said, this is multidimensional, beloveds. It has layers upon layers upon layers, and is very deep, and it's very vast, and it's very broad, but it's also very centralized if you understand what's happening and what's taking place with humanity, with the world at this point. Okay. The 60s, hippies, peace and love movement. This was another door, was a wave, a gateway, a portal. Remember what was going on during those times, the wars, civil rights movement, revolution. The sovereign identity was being established by the indigo children. Okay? Those that gave birth to the indigo children were indigo children themselves. Okay? This is what is coming forth. This is what is cresting now. All of this took place so that we would understand this now moment. All of this is taking place so that we understand what we do in this now moment is what the future will be. It will be more of the same, or it will be the opposite. It will be peace and love. It will not be war and violence anymore. This is a free will planet. It is up to your vibration. Each being is a sovereign being. Indigo children appear once again in rainbow colors. Understand the colors of the 60s and the 70s. Okay? Understand what gave birth to the 80s and the 90s. It was the 60s and the 70s. Okay, and the 50s. I'm not going to forget the 50s because the 50s broke it open. The 20s broke it open. Each decade gives birth to something new. Take note. And that is, again, is the number 10. And 10 is about new beginnings. And beloveds, we are about to go into 2020, which is the ending of another cycle and the beginning of another. Connect the dots. Again, the rainbow colors are very reminiscent of the 60s. The 60s was a free love era, coming out of a Victorian era, coming out of women being bound in corsets and having to wear stockings and not able to wear pants and having to wear their skirts down to their ankles and so forth and so on. And when this wave came through, when this doorway opened, women started wearing mini skirts. Okay, men stopped cutting their hair and started wearing their hair long again. Free love took over. The ability for interracial dating took off, exploded. The ability to speak your mind against the man, the establishment, the ruling government resurged. We are once again at that point. Nothing is new under the sun. There is a cycle and a season that is repeating. And you need to have learned from what has taken place till now, this now moment. Because it is in this now moment that you are empowered. That you have lived many lifetimes to be here. Okay, let me keep going. An explosion of free sexuality, rebellion in art, in fashion, men longer hair, women miniskirts, Black Panthers. We are the warriors, my friend. I don't know if you saw that movie or not, but that was a movie that my older auntie had taken me. I was in Detroit, and we had gone to the movie to see. And I don't know if it was playing in the Fox Theater or not, but we had gone to see this movie, and it was about all these different gangs, and the song "We Are the Warriors," my friend. And I just loved the energy of it, and I loved the meaning of it, and I really look at that as the Rainbow Warriors, as a foundation for it. Foundation for us to come together and look at what is going on and to unite instead of separating and dividing, so that we are so easily conquered with individual idiosyncrasies that we have been conditioned with. Okay, let me keep going. Love and Light, the movie The Exorcist. I remember the movie The Exorcist coming out, and oh my goodness, there was nothing as more scary as The Exorcist that was out at that time. And then Carrie came out. These are the times, understand, that moving pictures took on a whole new life. What we were seeing and what we were able to digest was totally new to us. Okay? And that I grew up watching Lucy and Ricky being a married couple sleeping in separate beds. Okay? So to see The Exorcist, to understand what and the involvement of the Catholic religion and what they have known about for centuries, these spirits, these influences, these possessions that are demonic and that can be controlled by those who know what they're doing and can be overtaken, can overtake somebody that don't know what they're doing or who is not strong in their conviction or who slips and has fear. This is all very, very deep, beloveds. And I want you to fast forward it to this generation, to this moment, to this now moment. I want you to look at the demonic influence in the movies, the horror that is shown, how graphic it is, how violent it is, how it is in the cartoons. And beloveds, not just this generation, in the cartoons that we grew up with, Bugs Bunny and Tom and Jerry, and those were violent. It was made funny, but it was violent. And it was about different factions hunting you and you getting out of it. And some being liked and some not being liked, being popular and not unpopular. There were morals and there were stories there. There were values. I grew up, during that time that I grew up, it was the cowboy age. It was those who wore the stars and the white 10-gallon hat and those who wore the black hats, and they were always the villains, cowboys and Indians. The commercial with the Indian saying what we were doing to the world, what we were doing to the earth, way back then in the 1960s, that we were disrespecting her by pollution. And look where we are. I'm not saying nothing that cannot be seen. I'm not pulling this out of thin air. What needed to happen then, but was stopped? What needed to happen when that Native American elder was telling us that we were polluting? We were polluting the waters. We were polluting the earth with the chemicals. We were killing ourselves. What needed to happen was we needed to see ourselves as a collective, as a united being, sovereign being, individuals, but all part of the same body, all part of the same earth, all breathing the same air, all eating from the same ground, all bleeding and hurting, all being can be happy, all can be sad, all have children. Each parent loves their children. Some don't, some do. No matter what color, no matter what economic status, none of that. Integrity, character, and being aware and awake of your emotions. In biblical times, if you've been following me lately, Spirit has had me on the fruits of the Spirit and the works of the flesh. And when you understand the polar opposites of those two, what you cater to is what is going to manifest. What you do not pay attention to is what is going to diminish right in front of your face. We were being told, pay attention. We didn't pay attention. We kept right on building. We kept right on dumping more and more chemicals into the water system. It's water. It's unlimited. It's nature. Nature can fix herself. Ain't nothing gonna happen. Look at the diseases. Look at the extinction. Look at the sorrow. Look at the misery. Look at the children starving and dying. We are here in this now moment to change this with our awareness, with our acknowledgement of our own inner sovereignty, our ability to say we are no longer helpless and hopeless, that we're waiting for something outside of us to take care of us, to take care of the earth like we have no responsibility for it at all. Wake up. Understand what you see. Understand the elders. Understand those who have, for millennia, have told you about the nature of man. The two wolves inside. The two natures, the spirit nature and the fleshly nature. The fruits of the spirit, the greatest of those are love. The works of the flesh, the greatest of that is fear and hate. What is winning? Why is it winning? Because that's what we're feeding. And that's what we're being fed, and that's what we're teaching our children to feed upon. And it's okay. And everything is just spiraling down. And we have been shown that there are portals that have opened before. Many times we call those different worlds Mu, Lemuria, Atlantis. We have civilizations that have been documented to just poof. Even in the Bible, you have stories of different ones being taken up off of this world. Understand who you are. It is not, I'm not speaking religion. I am not speaking politics. I am not speaking about fleshly things. I am speaking of your power as a spiritual, divine being. Something that you don't have to pay nobody for. Something that you don't have to travel across the world to get. Something that is within you, that is you, that you were incarnated into this world with and cannot be separated from. Only by your ignorance. Only by your ignorance. And your willingness to forego the fruitage of the Spirit in favor of the works of the flesh. Let me keep going. What needed to happen in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s, and did not happen? What needs to happen now, but is being stopped by the matrix system, by the negative images and negative influences, by our own addictions, by our own denial of who we are, by our own willingness to remain asleep and blind? Freedom. Freedom to be self-identified as sovereign beings, all races, both genders held in the status as equal. Everything that is the opposite of the patriarchy. Everything that this system is founded upon. The telepathic thoughts, the works of the flesh, they have that down pat in spades. You don't need nobody to read you. All they got to do is cater to your flesh. Cater to the desires. Influence your thoughts by the fashions, by the colors, by the sounds, by the senses. Tempt you, seduce you. So that all you can concentrate on is satisfying you. And you don't care that who has to work for those diamonds. You don't care who has to die in those diamond mines. You don't care what is happening to that civilization over there. Long as you got your diamonds. I got diamonds. I'm better than you. This is a social status. These diamonds cost life, essence, existence. I paid a price for them. So you can see how special I am. Oh, and all of this I got on, oh, it's fake. It's fake. Some of it came from secondhand stores, okay? My point, beloveds, pandering to the flesh. Right now, what's going on? The sexualization of children. And it's not just now starting. This has been going on. You see the pageants with the little babies, the toddlers, with makeup on and their hair done and wigs on, looking like grown women. Grown hookers. Let me clear that up. Streetwalkers. Ladies of the night. Hot things. You want the babies to look sexy. And then you want to have an attitude when a man or a woman want to sex them up. Some of the clothes they put on these babies. Oh, I ain't judging. I'm just saying. These are works of the flesh. This is how it is done. This is covert. Inch by inch by inch by inch. Like I said, from the 50s all the way up. This is conditioning. When you repress, I'll give you an example. I grew up Jehovah's Witness. Okay? And there was always this, even if you weren't Jehovah's Witness, the good girls. Okay? Oh, the good girls been repressed so much. They get out and about and oh my God, they go crazy. They just go crazy. They go buck wild because they're not used to any kind of entertainment and music and dancing and drinking and all of that. So they just lose themselves completely. This is the conditioning. What is the conditioning of a high school student going to college? The hazing, the fraternities, all of this is indoctrination. These people become the politicians. These people become the doctors and the lawyers. These are the Joneses that everybody wants to keep up with. It's a lifestyle. It's a choice. Your choice is the fruitage of the Spirit or the works of the flesh. The fruitage of the Spirit is going to produce one way of life, which is paradise, which is consciously treating somebody as you would treat yourself, because it's all based on love. The works of the flesh, that's competition. That's shark mentality. That's I got to eat you up. I got to dominate you. I got to beat you. I got to make you bloody. You uppity. You less than. Let me show you. Fear and hate. Sadistic behaviors. Ain't nothing new under the sun. Them scriptures, those texts, that oral history goes back before. Tree of life and the tree of death. Fruit of the Spirit is the tree of life. The tree of, what is it? Good and bad. That's the works of the flesh, baby. I'm not making this up. See it for yourself. What is inside of me that's reading this, that's seeing this, that's open to this, is in you. I didn't go nowhere. I didn't pay nobody. I sat down and I looked and I listened and I paid attention. And I interpreted and I put my own value system on things. I created my own boundaries. And I wouldn't let nobody shake me from what I saw, from what was my square on this checkerboard. This my square right here. That one may be yours. That one may be yours. That back there might be yours. But baby, I'm the queen of this square right here. And I'm going to move how I'm going to move. And I'm not going to be pressured by nobody. I'm going to be spirit-led. Even when I don't listen to that. Even when I make a wrong step, I am learning. Even when that step land me up in the middle of hell, baby, thank you. Because I am learning. I am learning how to use those fruitage of the Spirit, and I am learning how to recognize the works of the flesh. And it's not a judgment. Because if I'm down here, guess what? My works of my own flesh got me down here, okay? Now, how do I get myself up? How do I stand up? How do I hold my head up? How do I act like I got a spine? How do I bring forward what gave birth to me? 7 generations. Look at this world, at this dream, at this manifested matrix system. In a stand, nothing has changed but the fashion. Okay? And it even goes round and round, okay? Woo, round and round, okay? That is the spiral of life. That is the cycle. Do not lose hope. Do not say you don't know what love is. Love begins with you first. And just like Job, you came here naked. With nothing but that love. Expand it. express it, nourish it, let it grow, let it produce good fruit, multiply and be fruitful. Okay. Everything that is the opposite of the patriarchy. And I want you to understand that word, patriarchy, the archetype of the pa. When it is not balanced by the archetype of the divine feminine. The patriarchy can't be divine if the matriarchy ain't divine, okay? If they're out of balance and out of sync with each other, if you're out of sync with the male and female within you, how do you think the outside of you is going to be balanced? Male and female going to get along if the male and female within yourself is not even balanced. And it's not your fault that it's not balanced, beloveds. Please look at that. Please examine the conditioning from the story of Adam and Eve forward, okay? Please understand that there is no fault. There is no blame. There is only recognizing yourself in this now moment. Healing what needs to be healed. Sharing your journey. However you want to do that. If it's through art, if it's through music, if it's through writing stories, if it's through making movies, if it's through a garden, if it's through building houses, if it's through doing hair, if it's through teaching children, if it's through doing videos, do it. Do it. You never know who will be drawn to that, who needs it. When it said those with eyes see and those with ears hear, that's because spirit leads them. They surrender to that higher self, all the while fighting that lower nature, okay? All the while fighting that sadistic mind and that masochistic personal identity that wants to say, me, me, me. That I am. I am that which has no beginning and has no ending, which has a vastness that the world vast and unlimited can't even begin to describe. Know thyself. Write it down so the children may know. Ascend from this hell plane. Transcend it, the need for it, by accepting the gift that is, and the grace that is your sovereignty as a divine being expressing uniquely the divine. And don't take that away from nobody else. Okay. Okay, I'm going to keep saying this again. Everything that is the opposite of patriarchy, everything that this system is founded upon. They are telepathic thoughts, the works of the flesh. They have that down pat in spades. And when I say they, I mean every spirit, every energy, every thought that is outside your divine nature. I'm not speaking of a specific person, a specific entity, a specific spirit, a specific magic, or none of that. I'm speaking about thoughts and desires. But feeling cultivated by the fruits of the Spirit strips them of their ability to work you through the flesh. So, baby, the combat, I won't even go saying the combat because that's violence within itself. See how we even go, we seek to, everything is a competition. We must overcome our own tendencies. We do that by paying attention to the language that we speak. You notice how when a conqueror conquers a nation, they strip that nation of its language first. You have to talk like we do. You have to believe like we do. You have to think like we do. In the beginning was the Word. What changed? The words. The words changed. And when the words changed, the thoughts changed. And when the thoughts changed, we changed. And when we changed, the world changed. It's time to change it back. Pay attention to the words that you think. Pay attention to the desires of your heart. Are they of the spirit or are they of the flesh? Do not condemn yourself if your nature is more prone towards the flesh. That is indoctrination. That is genetic predisposition. Just like a child can be born to alcoholic parents and has a craving or propensity to being an alcoholic. That is something that child cannot control. It is not that child's fault. That is the sins of the father. So I am speaking to everybody because we are all on the same playing field. You choose. You choose what leads you. You choose which fruit you eat. You choose what you want to nurture your spirit, that indwelling spirit within you that is almighty and all powerful. And either you're going to feed that spirit within you the fruits of the spirit, or you're going to feed that spirit the works of the flesh. And you do the math. When you feed that spirit the works of the flesh, slavery can happen without a blink of an eye. Genocide can happen without a blink of an eye. Rape, molestation of babies and children and animals can happen without a blink of an eye. You can walk past somebody that's homeless. You can see pictures of babies, skeletal frames, and their mothers crying, holding them, and flies lighting on their face. And all you can say is, I can't do nothing about that. Because that's how you've been conditioned. By the fruit of good and evil. And that's those only choices you got. Because you ain't spiritual. That part of you is dormant and anorexic and you don't even realize it's there. Because you don't never use that part of yourself. You don't never express that, or you express it so gingerly or so rarely that when you do, you feel good and say, well, let me take. Isn't that merciful enough? There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing happening that has not happened before. There's nothing happening that you, in many lifetimes, in many dimensions, have not experienced and have been expressing before. The difference right now is you're being told to see it. We have reached an age of the water bearer where that womb is being filled back up again. Where doorways are opening once again for you to know yourself. Where portals of ancient wisdom that was repressed is now freed again. Jubilation, jubilee. A cycle is ending and a new one is beginning. A cipher has been completed. That puzzle has been put together. And now it's time for another one. In your image. Created in your image. Okay. Our ability to work through this is within each of us. Our ability to recognize what this moment is, what this age is, what this time is. Like I said, we can see what happened with World War I, World War II. We don't need to have a World War III. But that's where we're headed because we still don't know who we are. We're still working the flesh and not identifying at all with the spirit. Not identifying ourselves with the spirit as being powerful beings, as being unlimited in our untapped potential. in realizing and not realizing that those same mythologies that we read about with the gods, those who fought and vanquished the demons, that was us. And those who are fighting them right now, this is us. Let us put, it is Care Bear stare time, beloveds. And y'all all know what Care Bears are. That's the fruits of the spirit. That's the rainbow warriors. Okay? And when they get together and they Care Bear stare, they stare that hate down. They stare that fear down. They stare death down and say, not today. Not today, baby. Not today. No, 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 no. Not today. Care Bear stare time. Know who you are. Each one of those Care Bears has their own little symbol, their own little fruit of the spirit that they manifest, that they've perfected. And they handle stuff individually. But honey, when it takes come up against something big, they come together as a collective and they stare it down. And that light, that shadow goes. So you ain't got to listen to me. Use your thoughts. Think. Critical thinking. Look at what you have observed. Look at your life. Look at your feelings. Look at your parents' lives. Look at their struggles. Look at them when they were happy, at what made them happy. Not things, but situations. What were the feelings in those situations? And understand that your feelings, we can misinterpret things. Just like I shared when I was talking about doing this wig in the video before this one. How I had, you're given, this just came to me. This is your sheet of, you know how when you're in kindergarten, the teacher passes out sheets that you have to color, okay? And there are certain numbers for certain colors so that everybody's comes out the same. But there are other sheets where you color it the way you want to color it. And those each come out looking different because each child has expressed themselves differently from their own interpretation of where they are. Some may color the grass green, some may color the grass purple. And everybody wants to correct them and say, no, the grass is not purple. Don't tell that baby how to express what they see as grass. Listen, ask them why they color it purple. You may be surprised at the depth that you listen to. Something will blow your mind. We color things the way we see them in the moment. That's not necessarily the truth. Look at how you perceive things. Look at how you discern things. And understand that by your nature, whether it's the narcissistic or the empathic part of you that's perceiving and making discernment, that is going to color in that picture. like I said, I have matured to a place now as a mature woman where I understand the needs of a woman, the emotions, and the deep, deep, deep emotions of a woman. My mother was a deep woman, but I'm just now at 54 grasping that and can look at that at a point from the fruitage of the Spirit instead of the works of the flesh, with jealousy over my daddy's and her time and her feelings and coloring in her emotions to suit the way I see him, whether it's that or not. My mother is dead and gone. My mother died at 43 years old. She died because she was tired of living this life. She didn't commit suicide in the regular fashion of taking her own life, but she let life take her life because of how she felt. She was tired of feeling. She was tired of seeing the pain. Her spirit was broken. And all she had was her flesh to comfort her. And the flesh passes. If you think that you don't want to be here, your body begins to shut itself down. I know. At one point, I was 600 pounds, lying in the bed, all up in my flesh. Limiting myself to my flesh. Poor me. This happened to me. That happened to me. My mama did this to me. My mama. But now I know. This, baby, this ain't me. This is flesh. It's mine. But what's me? Baby, can't even be contained in this. As big as it is, I'm multidimensional. There is no time that I have not existed. There is no time that I will not exist. And that is how I know myself, as a sovereign being, as a divine expression. And that's the energy that I vibrate from. That is my frequency. That is my frequency as an individual. And that is my frequency inside the collective, which I am a part of and have never not been part of. So, baby, I have never been alone. Know thyself. And I'm going to do another video and I'm going to read some cards. But this is this video. and this is it at its ending. um, I just want to say again, thank you for listening, for being, and I thank you, Edmund. Thank you for this computer because it allows me to continue to do what I love to do. And this is what I love to do. This makes me extremely happy. Okay. Again, look into that music that I began with. The fifth dimension, age of Aquarius, Aqua Boogie. Understand, you hear everybody talking and speaking right now about the Holocaust because of the concentration camps that are going on in America. Yes, it was horrific, but there has not been a period in time where mankind has not done something horrific. And one horrific act does not supersede other horrific acts. And like I said, while I was doing this, the Mafa came up. And those beings in Auschwitz and the death camps, yes, it happened. And they were counted and accounted for. Who kept count of those slaves who were kidnapped and who jumped from ship, or who starved and were thrown over, or who died from disease, or who rebelled and were quelled? What is their number? What is their worth? Do they deserve being remembered? What about those Japanese who were in internment camps? What about the Native Americans that we keep on reservations? That we have stolen their language, that we killed with diseases, that we stole their land and their way, that we killed the animals that they... Whew. Yet everybody wants to say, the Jews had it rough. Humanity has not been kind to humanity. Okay? The females, when they ruled, they were not kind to the men, castrating them, dominating them. The males, in retaliation, putting chastity belts on women, coming up with systems of chivalry to keep them docile and in their place as this is what a lady is, this is what a whore is, and this is what a mother is. Humanity has been unkind to humanity because all they know is the works of the flesh. When humanity can realize and rise above its animal urges into a spiritual nature of divinity, of love being the greatest fruit of all, things will change. But until that time, we gonna stay on this loop. And there will be people, we call them prophets, we call them saints, we call them messengers, we call them messiahs, we call them whatever we call them, who will come forth, Buddhas, Jesuses, Horuses, whoever. And they'll tell you, be spiritual, be patient, be loving, be kind, be gentle. But the majority don't listen, don't hear. They hear it and don't listen. But what does that mean? I try to be nice, but I'm still, I want to do this and I want to do that, and I can't be nice because that person won't let me be nice, and this and that and this and that. Be still. Decide. Be strict with yourself. And yes, it's hard. Look at me, I'm still a fat girl, okay? It's hard. But I ain't 600 pounds no more. I'm not laying in the bed helpless and hopeless and wanting to die and too much of a coward to take my own life. So I'm going to do it the slow way. Life is not easy. Existence is not easy. It has never been so. It was not made to be so. Because we need to expand and we need to grow. Even as a child, when you're growing, you have growing pains. Your joints and your legs and your bones ache because they're lengthening. Because change is taking place. We don't know what a butterfly feels as it's developing from a chrysalis into a butterfly. We don't know if that's painful or not. When a woman is carrying a baby inside of her, that's painful adjustment for her body. We don't know if the baby is feeling that pain or not. Don't focus on that. Focus on ascending, rising above. The fruitage of the Spirit, focus on that. Use those fruits. Feed yourself that. Deal with you with those fruits. I'm not saying deal with somebody else. Deal with you with some patience. Deal with you with some love. Deal with you with some gentleness. Like I said, we have thoughts that are from other lifetimes. We have desires. We are encoded with stories and reactions that we don't even understand why we react that way. But you can overcome it by loving yourself enough to understand you, to observe you. Okay, beloveds, that's going to be it. So, understand that this is all coming from a place of love, and I love you. I love us as a species. I love us individually and I love us collectively. And I'm learning not to be so judgmental. I'm learning not to be so judgmental. And I'm learning that most of us are doing the best we can with what we have. Share what you have, beloveds. Share it. Share it freely. And by freely, that doesn't mean that you don't have to say, I'm not going to put a price on this book, or I'm not going to put a price on this painting. I'm just going to give it away, or That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying freely is with a generosity of the spirit that isn't holding anything back. Express yourself freely, is what I'm saying. Sow those seeds, throw those seeds. Namaste.